This is the new Les Paul Standard in translucent fuchsia. This guitar is awesome, but you're not going to buy it, and here's why. Color psychology is the study of how different colors affect human mood and behavior. It explores how colors can influence emotional responses as well as how responses to color are affected by factors such as age and cultural background. Today I want to talk about color psychology. Okay, that definition that I just read to you is what color psychology is. In short, color psychology is how the color of an object affects how you feel about it. Color psychology is from bigthink.com. Various studies have given us insight into color personality based on color psychology. For color correlations, most studies into color psychology deal in correlations, which is to say people who like color X more often than not do Y. For instance, there is a systematic link between a preference for and a bias to see the color red and individual differences in interpersonal hostility. If you like red, you might have been annoyed at how I said that just now. This means that out of 376 students in North Dakota, those who like red tend to be more hostile. Likewise, one study conducted on 104 young Serbian students suggested a correlation between social introversion and neuroticism and anxiety, and preference for dark colors with aggression and activity associated with those who like lighter colors. So maybe it's no surprise to you that you like black guitars, aggression, and heavy metal. Maybe that's no surprise to you. Maybe you're just not learning something new about yourself. I'm curious what the color of your guitar and your guitar purchases, and equally the guitars you do not purchase, say about you. SerenaArchetti.com says, some studies have shown that specific wavelengths of light affect our emotions and moods. For example, blue light is known to have a calming effect by lowering blood pressure, while red light is known to have an exciting and sometimes stressful effect. What do you think? Did you feel that as the lights changed? Does this feel red? Does this feel anxious? Does this feel blue? Does this feel calming? This is why blue streets are often used in areas where people might be considering committing a crime, as it can have a calming effect and dissuade them from doing anything drastic. Fire trucks and ambulances have red lights to create a sense of urgency. Does this feel urgent? Although we don't fully understand why color has a massive influence on us, it is a key element of our lives. Now, what does this have to do with Gibson? Well, maybe you've seen that Gibson has recently released 12 new colors for the Les Paul Standard. Those colors are Classic White, Pelham Blue, Inverness Green, Cardinal Red, Sparkling Burgundy, Ebony, Honey Amber, Blueberry Burst, Ocean Blue, Translucent Fuchsia, 60s Cherry, and Translucent Oxblood. And what I want to explore is what each of these colors mean and what it says about the colors that you do or don't purchase. So with that, let's take a closer look at the meaning of each color. White. White represents purity, cleanliness, innocence, and goodness. This is the classic white Les Paul. I think this is my favorite. Now, I might say that 2 or 3 more times in this video because there are some that I legitimately love. But to my surprise, I was struck by this one. I mean, totally caught off guard. I've never owned a white guitar. I've never been a white guitar guy, but I want this one. Now, it's also classic white, right? So it's not just a straight up white. It's got kind of the yellow aging kind of thing about it. But with that, let's look at some of the most famous white guitars of all time. Now, before we get too deep, this is not an exhaustive list. These are some really awesome guitars that I thought of and that I could find good pictures of that I wanted to share with. If you think of a guitar that you think I should have shared, put it in the comments below. Let's talk about the coolest white guitar of all time. This one here from Wayne's World, this white Strat. Now, obviously, this white Strat is based on Jimi Hendrix's 1968 Olympic white Stratocaster. This guitar is just so unbelievably cool. There's really no getting away. When I think of Jimi Hendrix, I think of him playing this right-handed, upside-down, Olympic white Fender Strat. This is where my mind goes. And so it's hard to disconnect just how cool this guitar is from him and how cool it is because of him. And it being a white guitar, there's something about that. There's something, and I wonder even how much of his early premature death is connected to this color somehow. There's, again, purity, cleanliness, innocence, and goodness. When I see this particular picture of Jimmy playing, I see all of those colors in this guitar. Another story that I think kind of imbues some of its story and some of its culture into the color and vice versa is this, unbelievably enigmatic and iconic Sister Rosetta Tharpe SG Custom. She's playing a white guitar. And if you don't know her story, please go read the book about her. Shout, Sister, Shout. It kind of explains her upbringing, that kind of explains the color choice, and it's just the cleanliness, the purity, all of the things, her being the godmother of rock and roll. It's so there. Up next, Inverness Green. I really thought this was going to be the one. I really, really, truly thought this was it. And I love it, don't get me wrong, but this is not my first choice. And I just didn't connect with it the way I thought it would. What does that say about me? Inverness Green. The color green stands for youth, vibrancy, vigor, nature, growth, and stability. Let's look at some of these guitars. First of all, the Kirk Douglas SG. This guitar is so rad, so undeniably awesome. Everything about it. It's just such a badass guitar. The Maestro Lear, the triple humbuckers in it, the white pickguard to pop against, the block inlays. Just this color, this everything. This is a great example of an extremely unique guitar that when you see it, you know that that's Kirk Douglas's guitar. That's how you know it's a great color. That's how you know it's a great signature. Up next, the Steve Vai Ibanez JEM 777. This guitar is so iconic. It's so green. The handle in the Ibanez, there's something about that in that color that shows that vibrancy. It shows that youth. There's something so fun about it. And the fact that he chooses, the hot pink pickups in it, the fact that he goes with the hot pink single coils and exposed humbuckers. Then if you look at the rest of that signature line, the colors that he goes with are very vibrant and very youthful. One of my favorites is the Pelham Green Gibbies that turn Inverness Green, that start off Pelham Blue and over time become this Inverness Green. I had this happen with a melody maker that I almost bought, and I still regret to this day that I never pulled the trigger, because this thing was a Pelham Blue that had turned into this Sherwood Inverness Green thing. It's just such a great guitar, right? When you see this color and you see this green, it really does say it. Youth, vibrancy, vigor, nature, obviously, right? Nature, when it comes to growth, like financial, monetary growth, stability, having financial stability. There's some connections there that make sense how these things could be connected to that color. Is this your favorite guitar? This is the Cardinal Red Les Paul. This is a plain top. This is amazing. It's just so much guitar. Let's talk about the color red. I'm going to do two of them here, okay? First, here's the Cardinal Red. And here is the 60s Cherry. This one has that figure top on it. This one has some of that wood grain that you're looking for. The Cardinal Red is the plain. Let's look at them side by side. Now, both of these guitars are red. These guitars are not the same. These are two very different decisions that you're making when you're standing in a guitar store looking to buy one. Personally, I'm going with this one here in the Cardinal Red. I think that the 60s Cherry is awesome. I love that it's a figure top. There's something about this Cardinal Red and the fact that it's a plain top specifically, just how much more red it is. There's something about that I'm drawn to. Let's talk about some of the feelings that are found in the color red. Excitement, passion, anger, danger, anxiety, action, power. Looking at these red guitars, do you feel any of those things? Do you feel like maybe some of my mood changed with it? This one brings something out of me that the others haven't yet. I feel more excited with this Cardinal Red plain top here. Let's look at some red guitars. So first of all, the George Harrison Les Paul Lucy. This story behind this guitar is chock full of emotion, right? Chock full of it. So when you think about the story behind Lucy, I'm not going to get into that. If you're not familiar with it, search it. This story has passion, has some, depending on where you're coming from, has some anger in it, maybe some danger. If you're an anxious lover, maybe some anxiety. If you like that story and what that trade was, maybe some power, right? There's something about that, but excitement and passion, this has all of those feelings. Next, Brian May's Red Special. I had a hard time with the Red Special because I didn't really interpret it as red. Brian calls it the Red Special. It's red. I mean, that guitar, like he built it when he was like 16 years old. That guitar is unbelievably iconic and it's red. There it is. I mean, that's his. Excitement, passion, anger, danger, action, anxiety, power. Those are all of the words that you describe Queen. And there's Brian May playing the Red Special. Then you've got Lizzie Hale with her Explorer Bird. I mean, this thing is so badass in every way. It's so red. I mean, she chose cardinal red with the black pickguard, with exposed humbuckers, with black knobs and gold hardware, with a Firebird headstock on it. This is the Explorer Bird. This thing is excitement. This thing is passion. It is anger. It is danger. It is so rock and roll. And it is such a perfect fit for Gibson's first female ambassador, Lizzie Hale. I love this guitar. Up next is an absolute icon and an icon of a guitar, Jimmy Page's double neck Gibson EDS 1275. Come on, man. Stairway to Heaven. What else are you going to say? Jimmy Page, Led Zeppelin. That's it. Icon. And now for what I think was probably the most iconic red guitar of all time. And again, there's a million more out there, but the Frankenstrat. Come on, man. Eddie Van Halen's Frankenstrat. Does it get more red? Does it get more cool? Look at this thing. This guitar is an absolute badass. I mean, you see walls that are painted like this because this branding, this Eddie Van Halen iconography is so strong and so deeply ingrained in rock and roll culture that you can paint your wall of this and people will know that this is an homage to Eddie Van Halen and rock and roll. That is red. I love this guitar. What do you think? How are you feeling about red right now? It brought something out of me. I didn't know that it was this ready to come out, but red brought something up for me. Interestingly enough, my go-to is a Cherry 335. That guitar is rock and roll. I love that guitar. There is nothing I can't play on it. And when I was getting my 335, I knew I was going to get Cherry. Of all the colors out there, I knew this guitar is meant to be Cherry. There's something about red. There's something about red guitars that it makes sense. All right, up next, I've got the translucent Oxblood. You cannot tell without some excessive lighting and some excessive work. Let's see. Okay. Nope, you can't tell. This guitar is not ebony. It is not black. It is translucent Oxblood. Let's see if I can... Yeah, there you go. See? This guitar is very dark. This is an interesting pick for color psychology when you have one guitar that is one color that looks like two colors. Hey, I got Oxblood. It's kind of black, right? Yeah, you got a black guitar. No, I got an Oxblood guitar. Is it kind of burgundy? No, it's Oxblood. There's a few things happening in here that might say something about your personality type. There's also this guitar, the Sparkling Burgundy. Right? Very clearly burgundy. This one pops with gold so well. I think this is a really beautiful guitar. In fact, I think I like Cardinal Red, Sparkling Burgundy, and then 60s Cherry in order of the red shades. Let's talk about what these colors mean. Individuality, intensity, power, sophistication, energy, and introversion. That's interesting. Now, since the Oxblood's kind of hard to see, we're going to hold on to this Sparkling Burgundy while we talk through the colors. Let's look at two particular guitars that are in this color vein that are really interesting when it comes to the personality of those who play the guitar. First of all, you've got Chuck Berry and his 355. According to Burgundy, he is an individualist, he is intense, he's powerful, he's sophisticated, and he's energetic. Those are all great descriptors of Chuck Berry. Up next, the Pete Townsend number 5 Les Paul. If you're not familiar, Pete had 9 Les Pauls numbered, making it easier for his luthier to grab. This is number 5, the Sparkling Burgundy. It says it right there on the belly, the big old 5. I mean, can you think of a more energetic player than Pete Townsend and the Windmill? I mean, can you think of more intensity, more power? The guy has got a ton of personality too. So sophistication, absolutely. These are two colors that are very much represented in their players' personalities. What do you think? Burgundy? Hit, miss, oxblood? What do you think of the oxblood? Hit, miss, love it, hate it? Let's keep going. I'm not really a guy that's into black guitars. I really love the color black. In fact, it's my 5-year-old's favorite color. But there is something just undeniably cool about a black guitar. It's there. So let's talk about the color black. Power, authority, sophistication, elegance, luxury, mystery, and wealth. First of all, B.B. King's Lucille. Is there a more sophisticated, more elegant, more beautiful black guitar than B.B. King's Lucille? It's all right there. Nothing else to say. Nothing I can bring to that. Then you've got, in a very, very, very different type of relationship to the color black, you've got Neil Young, right? His signature guitar was called Old Black. It was right there in the name. Neil had a very different relationship to the color black and to power in particular. And I think that especially toward the end of his life, we all experienced his social power and his relationship to power and how he wanted to use that power. So it's interesting how he's someone who has this sense of authority, this sense of power, and plays a black guitar as his main guitar. And then you've got one of the most iconic guitars of all time. I mean, undeniably, you've got David Gilmour's Black Strat. This, I mean, it shaped Pink Floyd's sound. Unbelievable guitar. Gorgeous guitar. Power, wealth, sophistication, elegance, you name it. Everything that the color black embodies, David channels it through his Black Strat. This guitar is amazing. Just looking at this photo alone, I want a black Strat with a black pickguard with white single coils. This is amazing. It's elegant. It's powerful. This is a beautiful guitar. There's something undeniably cool about a black guitar, especially a black Les Paul. What do you think? This guitar pops so hard. This is the Les Paul Standard Honey Amber. All right, this has got a figure top as well. This thing just looks so good. There was a good second where I was like, no, this is my favorite. And I mean, you get it, right? This is a gorgeous guitar. Now, this was also a really hard guitar to nail down because I think it looks like so many other Les Pauls and so many particular types of finishes, and I didn't want it connected to those guitars. What I wanted to do was talk about the colors inside of the Honey Amber, okay? So let's talk about that color. Amber is a bright, warm color that is midway between yellow and orange. So the two particular colors that we're going to look at for guitars are orange and yellow. So the color orange represents playfulness, friendliness, creativity, warmth, and enthusiasm. When I say those attributes, do you think of Cheetos? When I say Cheetos now, do you think friendly, creative, warm, enthusiastic? I mean, they've got a cat for a mascot. Let's look at some orange guitars. First of all, there is Chet Atkins and his Gretsch Chet Atkins. Whether you know who Chet Atkins is or not, whether you're into that style of music or not, you have seen this orange behemoth and thought, oh, right, I've seen that. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Or, oh, what is that? It stands out. I mean, it stood out so hard that Brian Setzer, the second one on this list, kind of the same thing, right? He's got the G6120T, and he made some changes on it. It's not the same guitar, single cutaway, not the double cutaway. He's got the dice in the bottom, the double switches up top. It's a different guitar, but it is very much in the same vein as it is a massive orange hollow body Gretsch. Clearly there's a theme here, but both of those, I mean, are iconic in such a playful and friendly and creative and an enthusiastic way. With that, let's not dare overlook St. Vincent and her signature St. Vincent in this unbelievable orange St. Vincent. And this, I mean, this whole thing is so badass. There is an energy that just exudes power in this picture. There is something that she taps into when she harnesses the color orange that I just love here. Now, switching over to the other color within this of yellow, because it does kind of have the yellow thing. You see it. Yellow represents happiness, optimism, warning, joy, originality, and enthusiasm. So when we think about the color yellow, I mean, first of all, there's the Zakk Wylde Bullseye. This guitar is yellow and black. So you've got this happiness, like warning, joy, and then black. So you got the power, the elegance. Like you've got some things that are happening here where this bullseye, I mean, the bullseye can be both something really awesome and something really terrifying, right? There's something about that that's very Zakk Wylde. After that, maybe you didn't know what this was, but you've seen it and you certainly can't forget once you see this. This is the George Lynch ESP LTD. I saw this guitar years ago and I've never been able to forget it and didn't know what it was until I had to dig a little deeper. And then you've got the Stevie Ray Vaughan 1959 Stratocaster Yellow. This is so Stevie with his, you know, the neck pickup and then his SRV right there on the pickguard. It's so badass. And it's nanner pudding yellow. I mean, it's such a great yellow. And definitely not the one that you think of when you go to Stevie, but I mean, an absolute staple, you know? So with that, when you're thinking of the Honey Amber, you've got happiness, optimism, warning, joy, originality, enthusiasm, and then you've got orange, playful, friendly, creative, warm, and enthusiastic. I think it's kind of easy to see where those colors would come into this. There is a certain playfulness about having a guitar that is orangish, right? Without actually being orange. It's not really orange or yellow. There's a couple different, it's a honey amber. There's a couple things happening. It's got its own personality. It's got its own kind of creativity about it. It's got its own playfulness. This is a cool guitar. What do you think? You know what this is. This is a Les Paul Standard in Pelham Blue. It's so dope. Who's the first guitar player you think of when you see a Les Paul in Pelham Blue? What's the first guitar you think of when you see the color Pelham Blue? Comment below. We're going to do two guitars on this one again. Pelham Blue and Ocean Blue. First, Pelham Blue. I mean, I'm pretty sure Gibson owns the color Pelham Blue. I could be wrong about that, but like, this is a Gibson color. Whether they do or don't, they own it. This is a Gibson color. This is not another color. This is not Ford Blue. This is not IBM Blue. This is Gibson Blue. This is Pelham Blue. This is such a rad color. This is Ocean Blue. Now, these are the same color, but these are not the same color. These are the same guitar, but these are not the same guitar. When I said that these are the same, several of you had a stroke. I mean, just couldn't handle me saying that these are the same. But listen, they're not the same. I know they're not. I don't have the same experience when I look at these on camera, when I play them. They're just different guitars. I really like the figure top on this one. I do. There is something cool about this. Let's get into the psychology of this. This reminds me of my grandfather. My grandfather is not a musician. He's not a guitar player. There is no clear connection to it musically. But there's something about this color that reminds me of my old dad's dad. Maybe it's classic. I don't know. Whatever it is, there is something familiar and comfortable and warm about this color that makes me think of my grandfather. I don't have that with all guitars. I have it with this one. This Ocean Blue over here, this one's got a really fun thing about it because, again, it has that figure top. I mean, it's got kind of a Sharpie thing about it that I really, really like. Like if the ocean were drawn from Sharpies. Ocean Blue. Let's see what these colors have to say. Blue is calm, stable, deep, peaceful, and trusting. Maybe that's the grandfather thing. Calm, stable, deep, peaceful, trusting. The first guitar I think of when I think of a Pelham Blue guitar, I think of Dave Grohl and his DG335. That's where I go. I know there are other options. I know there is a Pelham Blue Trini. I go to Dave. Dave's my guy. How do you not? I mean, is he just like America's superhero or rock and roll superhero? The guy is so rad. Love that guy. Love his book. Love his music. Love his story. Just love him. So when I see this, I think of Dave Grohl and I get the warm fuzzies. I want to play a guitar like this. I want to own a guitar like this. I'm not really a Pelham Blue guy, but I like this. My favorite Pelham Blue guitar is a Pelham Blue SG. There is no arguing that. That guitar rules. A Pelham Blue SG, absolutely, all day long. Up next for blue, how about the Kurt Cobain Powder Blue Jagstang? Now, his signature wasn't made until after he passed away, but when you see a Jagstang, the Jagstang is the Kurt Cobain, right? Those two things are synonymous. Those are hand in hand. One hand shakes the other. And this one definitely has more of the ocean blue vibe than the Pelham Blue vibe, but this is a fantastic guitar that very much represents blue extremely well. What do you think? Do you like blue guitars? Do you own any blue guitars? Are they Pelham Blue, ocean blue? What else? Let's look at another blue guitar. This is the Blueberry Burst. This is the Les Paul Standard Blueberry Burst figure top. It's clearly figured. It's clearly Blueberry Burst. I mean, has a color ever made more sense? A blueberry exploded and gave birth to this guitar. There's two colors in this guitar that I think are important to talk about because this isn't just blue. You see here, this is purple. See over here by the horn, this is purple. And I know that it's blue. I understand that, but this guitar has purple in it, okay? Whether you see it or don't, I see it, and I think it's purple, okay? So there's two particular guitars that I want to look at as we're looking at the color of purple and blue. So going back to blue, blue is calm, stable, deep, peaceful, and trusting. Purple is royalty, it's luxury, it's romance, it's introspection, and it's calm. Let's look at two more guitars, one purple, one blue. If you combine them, maybe you'd get something like this Blueberry Burst. Now I said purple is royalty, right? So let's go to the royalty himself, Prince. Prince has so many iconic guitars that honestly, it was kind of tough to not put him on this list like 4 times. And the first one was for the White Cloud, right? His extremely iconic White Cloud guitar. After you get past the White Cloud, then you've got the Blue Cloud, all right? But then after you get past the Blue Cloud and the Cloud guitars in general, then you've got Prince's Schecter Habib. And this is the guitar that I came to know Prince for. This big purple thing that makes no sense to me whatsoever, which is kind of why I like it. It doesn't need to make sense to me. Prince was an unbelievable musician. And if this guitar made sense to him, then that was more than enough for me. So let's look at purple again. This guitar here, this Blueberry Burst, has some purple in it, right? When we look at Prince, he's got royalty, luxury, romance, introspection, and calm. That dude was so chill, right? So chill, so calm. Luxury, absolutely. Romance, a ladies' man through and through. Introspection, all throughout his career, all throughout his songs, all throughout every single record, everything he did. Introspection, absolutely. And royalty, I mean, his name is Prince. He is royalty, right? There's something about how these colors are represented in their players, how these guitars and the colors of these guitars are represented in the personalities of these iconic players. Don't overlook it. We've got one more. Let's see what's next. Last but not least, we've got the Les Paul Standard Translucent Fuchsia. This guitar just says so much. This guitar has so much personality. I mean, look, it's even got kind of a chevron thing here. Look at this. Come on. It's so rad. This guitar is so rad. There is something to be said about the player that plays a pink guitar. All right, this is not pink, it's fuchsia, but you get what I'm saying. You're making a statement. Whatever that statement is, completely up to you. This is a statement maker. Let's see what pink has to say. Delicate, sweet, innocent, romance, love, femininity. Let's look at some players who play pink guitars. I don't know about you, but one pink guitar that stands out, it was such a weird kind of left field iconic moment, was John Mayer and the Pink Ibanez. This just resounded. There was something, it was when he played it, the guitar that he played, not just that it's an Ibanez, which is not in his wheelhouse, but also it was a pink Ibanez. I mean, statement, because he's playing in a bow tie. Up next, you've got Bon Jovi and his pink Kramer. Romance, right? Absolute ladies' man. Something to be said about that. Love, femininity. I mean, he's a gorgeous dude, right? It's right there. Just look at his face. His pink guitar makes sense. And he kills it. Man, he's Bon Jovi. I mean, an absolute rock star. Kills it. And then you've got the Brad Paisley and his pink Telly. And there's just something about it. Again, like his name is Paisley, so it's a Paisley guitar. So it's, it's a little on the nose, but it makes sense. And the fact that it's a pink Paisley, again, is just so fitting. Sweet, innocent. Yeah, there's something sweet and innocent about him playing that. There's something confusingly sweet and innocent about Mayer playing a pink Ibanez. There's something sweet and innocent about Bon Jovi playing a pink Kramer. There's something sweet and innocent about this guitar. And don't be confused by sweet and innocent. Those aren't bad things. They're sweet and innocent. They are those things. This fuchsia guitar is not to be overlooked. And I think that's part of the statement. What does this guitar say about you if you play a fuchsia guitar? I started this video holding a fuchsia Les Paul and said, you're not going to buy this guitar. And here's why. After going through it, we learned a lot about these colors and the psychology that these colors represent. The feelings that we experience when we see these colors, the emotions that come up when we see these colors on these guitars with these players. Here's what I think. I think that you're going to buy a Honey Amber Les Paul. I think that you're going to buy an Oxblood Les Paul. I think you're going to buy a Pelham Blue Les Paul. And I also think you're probably going to buy a Cardinal Red Les Paul. One of those four, maybe all four. And I think that's partly due to the fact that those colors are staples in the guitar world. You can't go wrong with the red guitar. You can't go wrong with the Pelham Blue. You can't go wrong with the figured Honey Amber. With the Oxblood, you can't even tell it's not black, so you're kind of playing it safe. It's tough. It's cool. I don't think you're going to buy the fuchsia because I don't think you want to make that kind of statement. That's okay. Tell me what you think below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one. This has been an incredibly fun video to make. I've loved going through all of these with you and all of these feelings and all of these guitars. This has been a blast. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Until next time, and as always, stay tuned.